Are you ready?
This is the face. I'm ready. This is my I'm ready face.
I'm gonna have to tread carefully today. Al is on one today.
Not towards you. Like,
Not yet.
okay, true. Yeah, you could trigger me or something, but I don't think you will. I think you'll be fine.
We'll see. Well, is that a challenge?
No, I don't want you to.
Yeah, but now I do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You know, I want to hear an
With every day.
unfortunate. I want to hear an unfortunate thing. This right here. You see this little doodad?
Is that your coffee spinner or warmer?
Yes. Now it has two settings on it. Okay. Red means very hot.
Yeah.
Blue means like hot. Now, unfortunately for me, this Tim Hortons cup, if I put it on red, it burns the bottom. So
Oh,
my
yeah.
coffee is no good. And it actually makes the cup leak because it's like burning the bottom.
What if you transferred the coffee into a mug?
I don't like doing that. You sound like Sam. I don't like doing that.
I just need to stop giving you solutions and just let you complain about things.
Well, it's just that there's something about drinking it from
I
like
understand.
this orifice
I
that is
understand.
good. Yes.
Yeah, the ritual of it.
Yes.
Hmm.
However,
I get it.
on light setting, it doesn't heat it at all. So
Oh,
it's a real pickle. And it actually even on light setting, it not only doesn't heat it, but it still burns the freaking cup.
lame. That's
Terrible,
so dumb. Yeah. Well,
terribly.
I'm sorry that that is something that you're struggling with. That really sucks.
Thank you.
I'm not being facetious. Listen, I went to therapy the other day. Learned a few things about myself and how I should communicate with other people. I'm being
Al over
so
here
serious.
telling me to go myself.
Not. I'm one of those people who's like trying to fix your problem, and you're like, I don't want to fix my problem. I want to bitch about it. I'm like, okay, sorry, do that. It's okay. You can do that.
All right, let's start this show. On that note, oh god. Okay.
Oh, God.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Zelda Cast here on ZeldaDungeon.net. My name is Andy Spiteri, and I'm joined by my pal and yours, Allison Aletha. What's going on, Al? How are you feeling
I,
today?
I feel a little better. I just had a little giggle fest, but I've been having a week, so I don't know.
You're
Like you
welcome.
said, I'm on one, so we'll see how this goes.
I don't want to call myself a hero or anything, but this, yes. Anyways, let's move. This is why you should tune into our Twitch streams, everybody. This is a couple
Yeah,
weeks in a row
do
that
the
we've plugged
pre-show
this.
stuff.
Yes. Um, well, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about a couple of different topics here, actually, and all of them kind of related back, I would say, to Tears of the Kingdom. Um, Before we even get started on anything today, though, Al, I do want to quickly shout out my pal and yours, the hosts of Flashback 64, Gooey Fame and McKenna, for a very, very successful marathon yesterday for Goo's birthday, which is upcoming next week. They both stream. These guys streamed for like 14 or 15 hours yesterday, like
Wow.
a crazy amount of time. They played Ocarina of Time, and they weren't just doing it to beat the game quickly. They did like side quests, they did bomb tube bowling, they did like a ton of different stuff. So and then played The Legend of Zelda immediately afterwards, which I thought was very impressive. And not only that, but they had a goal of $300 for the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. Crushed it, raised $500. So just
Nice.
wanted to tip my cap to my pals and congratulate them on a very successful marathon. Good job, guys.
Very nice. Very
I,
cool.
I got to stop in a couple different times in the stream, and it was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
That's really cool. I'm excited for them.
Um,
How long are they doing that? Was
so
it
so
just
it
for
was a one
yesterday?
day stream, but I was just about to say the what's the word I'm looking for? The donation, I guess, is open until Monday. So by the time that people are listening to this, it could potentially still be open. And if you're watching us live on Twitch right now, it is open right now. So the easiest way for you to find it is to go to their Blue Sky at flashback64.com, and then you can just find the link, and then bada boom, donate if you're able to. And yeah, just wanted to again just wish him, congrats on a great marathon. It's not easy to pull off, especially not for a length of time like that.
Yeah,
I did a 14-hour day for Omega, and that was rough.
Or like your 14-hour Twilight Princess runs.
Whoa. 12 hours, okay?
Oh, sorry.
Get it right.
Listen, the older I get, the more this marathon format does not fit me. Like, I just did a practice. I'm trying so hard to do everything in a straight go, because that's what I have to do at the marathon, right? So I did a practice a couple weeks ago, Phantom Hourglass, straight 4.5 hours. And then I came out of it, like I stood up and I like walked to the kitchen, and I about almost fell over because all my joints were all like tight, and like I was dizzy from not eating. It's a mess. So yeah, it's rough. So kudos to them for doing 15 straight hours. That's nuts.
I will say probably about 5, maybe 6 hours is like my threshold. I can do that, but then after that, it's just like these old bones. They're withering away. They can't do it.
It definitely depends on the game, because like Ocarina of Time, easy 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom Hourglass, with the way you have to hold the DS and the stylus and stuff, is not an easy 4.5 hours. So
that's true.
It definitely depends on the game.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, well, yeah, so I just wanted to congratulate them, and I also wanted to let everybody know we have been teasing it for the last couple of weeks, and the time is finally nigh of the first episode of Middle Earth, the podcast, is now available on patreon.com/spnet. Andy Spiteri, Allison Aletha, Corey Richmond. This is kind of like a gentle first episode. We're talking about some of our, like, how we got into, like, Lord. I'm by the way, I'm just going to use, like, Lord of the Rings, kind of like, what's the word? Colloquially? Yeah, to describe the entire Legendarium. So I'm using them interchangeably, so don't come at me. But yeah, we talk about how we got into Lord of the Rings. We talk about, what some of our influences are, what versions we like the best, YouTubers that helped us kind of really take our knowledge to the next level. Just kind of like talked about how we got into that. So that is available over on patreon.com/spnet. And it was a really good time. So go and consider checking it out. And I'm really excited for like the next couple months worth of content. We had a lot of time, or a lot of fun, and had a good time just talking about the Silmarillion movie, the first stage, the Elder Days, lots of good stuff over on patreon.com/spnet. And if you're just looking for Zelda stuff too, by the way, we have been getting rave reviews on Gooey and I's new show format for the Zelda Cast XL. It's a very simple format. It's two pals doing a couple segments. We play some Hurdle. We answer some fan questions. We have kind of a main topic, and it seems like it's really kind of simple and easy and light. And I think that's why people are really digging it. Because I've had a lot of people say that I really like the new format. So go and check that out as well. Plus, you've got episodes all about. There's an episode for each episode of the Zelda cartoon. So that's there as well, and there's a bunch of other stuff there too, like tons of other just kind of shows if you're into music. There's music stuff. Like, go check it out. $1 gets you in the door. So go and see what we got going over on patreon.com/spnet. Anything you want to plug, Al, before we get going here? I feel like I've plugged a couple of different things.
No, I don't think not yet, because the marathon is about 3 weeks away. I think I'll start plugging it like excessively much closer to, so I think we're good on my end.
Excellent. I also hate to say it, but man, that marathon logo this year looks really slick. I think
you hate to say it because Corey made it.
Corey made it. Yeah, go to hell, Corey.
Corey always does a fantastic job. It was kind of funny when, speaking of our Lord of the Rings podcast, like when we were talking to Corey, and I asked him, I'm like, what do you even do, Corey? And like he told me he does like graphic design. I was like, that makes total sense because he
Yeah.
literally designs our stuff every year and has done a lot of designing on Zelda Dungeon. So yeah, we try to pick what's like relevant. Like obviously Echoes just came out between last marathon and this marathon, so
Yeah.
we got Try on there and it looks so cute. And let me tell you, it looks really good on a purple shirt or a black shirt. So you'll be seeing those at people wearing those at the marathon. So
Hmm. Corey has also contributed like an embarrassing amount to Omega Metroid just for like free, like so. Yeah, go to
Corey's
hell.
such a good
But I
guy
love you.
for somebody who gets told to go to hell a lot. Like,
Well, yeah, sometimes you gotta keep him in check. Sometimes you can't
my
let him get
God.
too comfortable. Okay, so last week we talked about Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition. We talked about some of the new features that go into the Zelda the app. I forget what it's called, the Zelda voice notes.
Zelda
And
notes.
yeah, we're gonna do the same thing here with Tears of the Kingdom, but because a lot of the functionality is the same, we're actually going to talk about Tears of the Kingdom kind of not quite 2 years later, just over, but we're going to talk about some feelings because this was the first time that I've returned to that game since it came out. And I also want to touch on an article that was published on Zelda Dungeon as well, which, spoilers, is going to kind of relate back to Tears of the Kingdom. So we're going to start. We're gonna start with the voice notes. We'll work our way over to Tears of the Kingdom, and we'll kind of end on that article. I actually meant to say this last week, Al, and I totally forgot. And I wanted to say it because I've been critical of Tears of the Kingdom on this podcast. But when I was playing Breath of the Wild, you really notice that there are things like Ascend, that there are things like the Tool and Gust that are not in Breath of the Wild. I will have to say that those were definitely missed in my replay through. I don't know about you.
Oh, definitely. Like when we touched back on Breath of the Wild last week, I was like floating around and I was like, man, where's Tulin at? Like what why can't I get pushed forward? Or I really, really like Descend and definitely can't use Ascend. And then also just being able to grab stuff with your hand instead of just metal things with the Sheikah Slate. Yeah, so a bunch of those things that I definitely noticed, or being able to build something to help transport you, because my horse was out and about way over here, and there was no stable nearby, and whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I miss, and I think we've talked about it before, where it's kind of like sad that a lot of stuff from Tears kind of makes Breath of the Wild not, I don't know if not as fun to play, but not as easy to play, like not as, I don't know what the right word is, but like it's kind of sad for that reason. But at the same time, like I still had a lot of fun getting back into Breath of the Wild.
Me too.
Just a lot of different things going on now in Tears. So
Yeah, I had a blast like getting those memories in Breath of the Wild. That was honestly like really fun. And it was the perfect length as well. Like I think we said last week it was about 4, maybe 5 hours in Breath of the Wild. I will dispute Catherine saying that Tears of the Kingdom only took 5 hours. There, no way. Like unless she's speed running around. Like I was like, I didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom, all the voice notes. I didn't even come close, actually. But I did finish Breath of the Wild after we talked about the few missing ones in Hyrule Castle. So I did go back and get that. I don't know if I'm going to do the same for Tears of the Kingdom. We'll get there in a second, but yeah, there's definitely some things like playing Breath of the Wild that you're just like, oh yeah, like I forgot about this, or I forgot that we don't have this. You know what was the first thing actually is I was getting all the memories by Hyrule Castle, and I was like, oh my god, there's Guardians.
oh yeah,
Because they're not in Tears of the Kingdom, and I was like, oh damn it, like there's
gardens everywhere.
yeah, which is like super intense and like such a great enemy, but it's definitely I didn't realize like how much I guess I had gotten used to Tears of the Kingdom versus Breath of the Wild, you know?
Yep, I guess that's what happens when it comes to evolution or anything like that. I literally still have no idea how long it'll take me to do Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I barely touched both just because of my own time constraints, and I think Catherine told me she took 5 hours for Tears, but she can correct me if I'm wrong.
She's a
But,
madman.
She's fast. She's fast at everything with her speed running and stuff. So she was probably just zipping all over the place. But like I said for Breath of the Wild, I also enjoyed getting back into Tears to like look up some of these voice memories. Like I said, I didn't do all of them. I did some, and I tried to do some of all 3 levels. So that I felt like that was important.
Yeah. Well, I have a fun story here, Al, as I was telling you, but I splurged. And for the first time in 10 years, I bought a new TV. 10 years ago, I spent like $800 on a 40-inch TV. It was really nice. And you know what? It's a good TV. It's still a nice TV. But when Sam and I moved into our house, so we put the TV down in the basement. Our basement is like significantly bigger than my old living room in my apartment. So like instead of the couch and the TV being like, I don't know, 6 feet apart, they're like 12 feet apart. And I remember sitting down for the first time a couple years ago and being like, oh my God, that TV is it's a little bit small. And so I splurged, Al, and I bought a new TV, HDR, 4K, whatever. That's not really my jam, but I was like, I remember seeing the Metroid Prime 4 trailer, and I was like, I have to get something new. And and so I did, and I set it up, and I was playing, and I played Breath of the Wild 2, undocked. So I played it handheld. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to play Tears of the Kingdom docked. My God. This looks just absolutely majestic. So I spent most of my time in the depths and some of it in the sky. And I was just like, holy God, this looks so unbelievable. And I fired up Metroid Prime Remastered after 2, and I was just like, oh my God. So I'm like a kid in a candy shop here with a new TV.
You know what game you also need to fire up? Maybe not play it, but just fire up so you can like run around and look, is those Horizon games on like the big screen.
Yeah,
nice
maybe.
Big screen TV. Like fantastic.
Stunning. You know what though? I have the PS4 Horizon, so I'm not sure if that's going to be quite as snazzy.
Like maybe. But maybe also just having a nicer TV would, help elevate it a little bit.
It probably would, because, like, I was just like, holy crap, like, this looks unbelievable. So, and the depths in Tears of the Kingdom, I thought, just looked, like, unbelievable on the new TV. The sky looks gorgeous. You know, I have my qualms with it. This is going to be a almost entirely positive Tears of the Kingdom show for me, though. I will say, the way that the game looked was never an issue for me. It looked stunning.
Right.
Stunning. So, yes.
It's just kind of cool when it was already good and now it's better. So, it's like, there was never, I don't feel like there was anything ever to complain about, but like now there's really nothing to complain about. So,
wow. I do have one critique. How it looks. Yes, you're 100% right. Yeah. I have a critique about the Zelda. So I have a few kind of stray thoughts here that I actually wanted to go through. And I guess maybe we should just start with the kind of the not as fun stuff here and talk about what's actually like on the voice notes app, the whatever this freaking app's called. I don't know what is it up in my brain. I cannot get the name down. You ever have that?
Zelda Notes.
I don't know why. I can't like just say Zelda Notes.
It's because you're mixing the two things. So Zelda Notes, voice memories.
Yeah,
you're mixing them both.
Because I was talking about this last week, and I was talking about I just cannot get it like for the life of me. I'm sitting here, anyways. So the least fun thing about Zelda Notes on Tears of the Kingdom app is probably the rest of this is the same. The photo studio, gameplay data, daily bonus, amiibo, blah blah blah. But this one, you do have auto build sharing as well, which is pretty sweet. It's basically like item sharing.
Did you do any of the auto build sharing stuff?
I have not, no.
I did it. I
don't have anyone to share auto builds with me. If anyone wants to share with me.
That's the amazing part. You just go online because people share their QR codes online. And you just grab the QR codes, save them to your phone, and scan them. And so I got like this mech thing. I got like a car, stuff I would never make myself. And then you just build it with your auto build. And it was amazing. It was just like item sharing, but
how do I find Metal Gear Rex on there? Like,
you'd have to Google that. Be like QR code for auto build, Metal Gear, whatever.
Oh, so you just like Google like auto share, like it's not in the app.
Yeah, like IGN has a list of the quote unquote best auto build builds.
I see.
Yep. So you could get a perfect hover bike, which is actually pretty difficult to put together because
Yeah.
one wrong angle and you start veering left. So you can get one of those right away. It's awesome.
My hover bike sucks. It sucks,
Yeah.
man. Like I'm trying to
It's
build it up and it keeps
surprisingly
on
hard.
flipping over. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
well, I'm gonna get
surprisingly
that for
difficult.
sure. It's not like attention grabbing, but it is a really neat feature, I think.
Yes, I think it's awesome. And when I start a new file in August, I'm really looking forward to just going down to the depths, like farming a bunch of the Zonite and being able to just auto build stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's a really cool feature, but wasn't the thing I was most excited about. I will say, like, I know that we've kind of joked around about what a lunatic you are, Al, in 100%ing this game, like, once, twice. I don't even know how many times. How many times have you done
You've done
this?
it once for Tears.
Well, that's. I think lunatic is still applicable for that because my God, Tears of the Kingdom. I have
You open the map.
I have so much stuff left, man. I have like an insane amount of stuff. So I have 55% cave entrances, 46% wells, 80% chasms. Like I'm missing device dispensers. I'm missing. I mean Koroks. Like please, but like. I don't even like. I go to the enemies and I have Talus's Hinox and like one of them is a question mark. I'm assuming it's a Stalnox, but I actually don't know like what that even is.
Which one? Like, what square is it?
The third at the top.
Third at the top is Molduga's.
Oh well, there you go. I haven't even fought a single Molduga in this game.
Uh,
So like 25% old maps. I was at like 50% for the schema stones. The point I'm making is like there's so much of this game that I have not done because there's so much in it, and that includes like side quests, and that includes like just like a ton of other stuff, like 8% Addison. And this is stuff that I'm never going to do. Like I'm not going to do it. But I will say that I was just like, okay, I was playing yesterday and I was like, I have some fun stuff that I can do. So I did a lot of stuff in the depths. I got like a lot of armor sets that I had missed. I got a lot of obviously the voice memories, which we'll talk about here. But I was just like, there's a ton of stuff, and I was having a really fun time just kind of schmucking around and getting it. So I will say that. Tears has too much stuff in it, but at least like there's some things that you can still do. So I had a really fun time yesterday and the day before, just kind of, revisiting this world. Now the one thing I didn't really do was revisit the surface that much. It was either the depths or the sky. So the surface is where I'm still kind of like not bitter, but like just a little bit like, I wish this was different, or like I wish it was something. So
I would
I'm
say,
probably going to
like,
do that today.
yeah, I would say like especially with the surface, knowing your percentages on the caves and the wells, just like go looking for caves and wells because some of the
Yeah.
caves, obviously they're new content in the wells too, but they're like really deep and like have a lot going on in them. So I feel like that would enhance your surface experience. But yeah, I had a blast opening the map for Tears. Everything was 100% except I missed one thing. One thing in my 100% file, which was an old map.
Oh.
I had missed an old map. I'd already gotten the treasure, but I haven't it hadn't registered on the game that I had gotten one of the old maps. So that was the one thing I missed, and then now of course I'm missing all the voice memories, so that took my percentage down to 93%. But
Let me ask you a question.
I
I saw a treasure chest and it had an old map in it, and I was in the sky and it was on a vine just hanging down. So I shot it and I jumped after it, but when it landed, it disappeared.
Oh, I think it has to be on the Sky Islands.
How does one do that? I guess I need a construct or something to get it.
Yeah, you would have to shoot it down, maybe have a hover one of those hover bricks underneath it.
Yeah,
That's probably what you would want to do.
indeed. Yeah, like I will say, there's still too much stuff, and as we'll talk about in the voice notes, like there is just an outrageous amount of these voice notes. But
Yeah.
I did have a fun time with it.
I would say I would agree that there's too much stuff going on in Tears. Like even though I find that really fun, and for me, my brain it tickles my brain, so it's great. But the amount of stuff on this map compared to the Breath of the Wild's map is insane. Like the stone tablets, cherry blossom trees, which aren't a percentage, but you could it tells you where they all are.
Yeah.
All the different enemies, flux constructs, gleox, gloom spawns. I don't know how I 100%ed all the gloom spawns, but I did. I would imagine that's something that I would have missed, but
You know what? So did I for some
I don't think you get a
reason.
medal for those. So I don't know how I did all of those, but you got the Yiga schematics, the schema stones, the sage's wills. You have all the side quests. Like you have layers and layers of stuff. The Bobo frogs, the Addison, just layers of things to click for the map. And I think that is both impressive and insane. I think it's really cool, but also just insane.
Yeah, totally. And I think that applies to these voice notes as well. Like they're in Breath of the Wild, there was just like the exact right amount, and in Tears of the Kingdom, in typical Tears of the Kingdom fashion, it's way too much. It is way too much. There are about 30. Let me see if I can get this right. I'm just opening my app. There are 55 Master Kohga voice notes in the depths. Okay, that's doable. There are 35 Rauru voice notes in the sky. And that one I was actually like, I would rather more of Rauru. There are, my God, there are 150 Zelda voice notes. 150. I don't know what this math is, Al, but this is like 250 or 240 or something like that. All in all. Like 100 more than Breath of the Wild. And I was like, oh my God. So this is what I did. I was like, there is not a single chance that I am getting 240 voice notes before we record on Sunday. So I prioritized. I did what I was interested in, and then what I thought would be more interesting. So I did all of the Rauru voice notes from the sky and all of the Kohga voice notes in the depths, and a single Zelda voice note in the surface.
I also only got a single voice note from Zelda on the surface. I don't even remember what it said, but I was like, I want to know more about Rauru and Kohga because we talked about Zelda last week. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the takeaways here. Maybe we'll start with Kohga because I feel like I spent most of my time in the depths. I actually think there wasn't a ton of real good takeaways here, except like it was interesting and it was funny. But like in terms of like building the story and the connectivity, like we talked about last week, the only thing I would say, the biggest takeaway I had, and I don't remember if this was when we were doing our Age of Imprisonment show or not, but I kind of theorized that Master Kohga might be a title that is passed down. It confirmed. There is a voice note there where Kohga says, like, ever since I inherited this title of Master Kohga, something. And I was like, aha, okay, that makes sense. So Kohga is a title that is passed down from the Yiga. One thing I will say, I think I might have missed where, like, Kohga actually goes from, like, wandering alone in the depths to finding the rest of the Yiga clan. Did I miss that? Because, like, all of a sudden it's just, like, he's wandering and then he's got his troops.
I think it depends on where. So where did you start with Kohga? I feel like the starting point is very important for Kohga.
I mean, I don't know where I started, but I know the starting point, like, beneath the Gerudo region.
So I specifically went there, one, because Catherine and I had already been talking about it, and we were assuming what Kohga would say once he got to the depths. And then Catherine's like, he does say that, go to this spot, which is the spot where he falls from Breath of the Wild. And I wanted that because of, like, the continuity. I wanted to know his first thoughts of falling into the depths. And you learn. Yeah, it's so great. I love him. He's so funny. But my biggest takeaway, like, sure, it's not lore information, but my biggest takeaway is Kohga is a lot smarter than he portrays in like action. He is very observant. Guesses a lot of correct information, knows more than, like, the castle does. Like, he's like, is this the depths where ancient civilizations were? And I'm like, nobody knew about the depths. How do you know about the depths? That's from the 5 that I've gotten. I'm like, Kohga is, like, surprisingly smart, you know? Even though he's so goofy and, like, dumb when he's fighting, he's actually pretty smart.
You know, there is multiple voice memories where he's just like, this is what the elders must have used to make this device. Like, he finds the hot air balloon, for example, and he's like, I wonder if I can get this attached to this. This is how I can travel. Like, if they could do it, I can do it. So there is a lot of moments like that, which is fun. But I don't know. I thought it was just, like, more kind of like neat anecdotes. Like, the one that stuck out to me is, like, where he sees the dragon He's just like, how is there a dragon down here? That's really cool. Of course, where he is building the Mecha Koga 5000 Deluxe. I hope that is on the auto build share, maybe.
Yeah.
And to your point, like, yeah, he's saying like he's talking about like Sundelions, but this is again where he's just like, one of my spies told me that Sundelions help with the gloom, and so I was like, oh, like when did you find your people down here? Because there is a memory where he's just like he thinks he sees a Yiga clan member, but he isn't sure if he's hallucinating or not. So I wasn't sure if I maybe missed it. Someone can correct me.
I was trying to make a point earlier and then I totally forgot it because I was so flabbergasted by Koga's brain. But like where I started, the all those memories in that area is him by himself. And of course I only got a few, but I imagine the more you like venture out, because he's like, here's where my first base will be. And that's my last one that I got. I imagine like as he ventures out from that spot is when he'll start meeting his people.
Well, so I think like what they do is memory 50 or 38, excuse me. That is when Koga's just like, okay, there was an earthquake and now there's all of these chasms to the depths from the surface, and the survey team is coming down. So I think maybe that's when he's just like, okay, now I've got my spies in the survey team. Pretty much everybody that you talk to down there by a research tent is a Yiga Clan member in disguise. So I don't know. It was I thought that it was pretty. I thought that it was like pretty interesting anecdotes. The title being passed down was the big takeaway for me. The other thing that did kind of stick out to me a little bit is Koga keeps on referencing the Magnificent One, obviously Ganondorf, and saying like, oh, all this gloom is everywhere. Like I really hate it. And then he's like, oh, wait a second, I misspoke. I love your gloom, Magnificent One. And he's just about to find him, actually. So the final memory is beneath Hyrule Castle with Koga. And he's just about to find Ganondorf, but then one of the survey people comes back, one of his spies, and says like, we figured out how to make the green crests work. So he abandons that. So interesting story there with Koga.
I love it. I love that we get some of Koga's perspective. This is something that I love about these voice memories. Sure, maybe they're not dropping the biggest lore bombs, but I love getting more insight into characters and into the world of Hyrule. That I just love it. So I'm excited to continue to explore, all the voice memories, but especially Koga's, because like, who would have thought that you would get voice memories from Koga as like a diary?
No, great choice.
It's a good choice.
Oh well, let's talk about the Rauru ones then, and go back up to the sky. I will actually say I was a little bit disappointed in some of these anecdotes. Not because they weren't interesting. Like, they were interesting, like, specifically to whatever, island that you happen to be on. But I kind of was hoping for a little bit of more insight into, like, the Zonai as, like, a culture or a race and something like that. And you don't really get that. In fact, you hear Rauru say often, like, oh, the ancient civilization or the elders, and it's like, dude, you're the elder, like, you're the ancient civilization, like, what are you talking about? Like, who are these other people? So I will say I was a little bit disappointed in that. I don't know if you echoed that same sentiment or not.
I can't say for sure because I haven't gotten them all. I would argue that when he talks about the elders and stuff, him and his sister are the only two Zonai left. So I imagine that there's been years and eons of this civilization that he might not have lived through. So I was surprised by when he went up to one of the devices that dropped the items, and he's like, "This might not even have been made by the Zonai." I'm like, "What are you talking about? It looks Zonai. It speaks Zonai. It sounds Zonai. It's Zonai. Like, why would you say that? That's so weird." But to me, that kind of hinted that there's way more to this civilization than even he knows about, because him and his sister are the only two left.
Yeah. And that's a fair point about like him being kind of the final Zonai, I guess. And they do explicitly say like him and Minoru are like the last two.
Right.
I guess like I was hoping for a little bit more of like where did the rest of the Zonai go? Like, did they ascend up to the heavens?
Too. Maybe Nintendo is saving that lore so that they can use it in a future game and bring back, the Zonai, and we can learn more about them. They don't want to give up I feel like that's acceptable to me versus like if we've had
Yeah.
the Zone, like as long as we've had the Sheikah, then like why aren't you giving us that information? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And like if that's the case, like in let's say hypothetically, the next open world 3D Zelda game is taking place in the same world as Tears of the Kingdom. Not like the exact same world, but like I don't know, let's just say Hyrule from like 10,000 years earlier, okay? I'm fine with that, like if we learn about that, but I kind of don't think that that's going to be the scenario, so I was left a little bit wanting with some of the memories and stuff like that. So I thought that the Rauru ones were just okay, which is a little bit too bad because they were the ones I was looking forward to the most.
Like I said, I think I only got 4 of the Rauru ones. Does he like talk about meeting Sonia at all or anything like that?
No, not really.
Oh.
No, not
See,
really.
I was kind of looking forward to that, but I feel like I could still look forward to that in Age of Imprisonment. And I feel like I could still look forward to maybe some more Zonai information in Age of Imprisonment. So, like, I know there's still content coming, so I'm not going to be like, how dare they not talk about Sonia or whatever, you know?
Yeah. No, there's memory number 10 or 12, something like that. One of the very like first ones, he says something about Sonia, and it implies that they've been like married and together for quite some time. So, no, he does not mention anything like that.
Okay.
Which is too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm interested to hear about his as well.
Yeah. So, they were. One, you know what? Actually, there is one interesting anecdote that he gives, and I can't remember exactly what he says, but it's about the low gravity islands, and he says that there's like a reason for the low gravity, and I can't remember which one it was, but that was kind of a cool anecdote, I guess. So yeah, other than that, I thought that they were fine. They were fine.
Cool.
I did not I did not get any of the Princess Zelda ones. The only one that I got was establishing the base on Lookout Landing, and after that I was like, no, I can't do this.
I think that's the one I got too because I was like, this seems like a good place to start for Zelda.
Yeah.
But I didn't get more than that one.
I will say we gave a shout out last week to Patricia Somerset, the voice actress for Princess Zelda. I thought that the voice acting for particularly Kohga, I thought was like really, really strong in these segments here, and you'll have to forgive me. I'm gonna bring it up because I don't remember who voices him off the top of my head, but I thought that Kohga did a really good job. And Rauru as well, but and like just playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, it is a little bit hard not to hear Dimitri, you know.
Right, yeah, he does sound a lot like Dimitri.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. Like they're the same voice actor, but it is very, very similar.
It's kind of hard when you're like that person is not there talking. So Rauru's not there talking; he's just talking at you. So it does kind of sound like, oh, I could mix this with Dimitri if I saw hard enough.
And I am so Chris Hackney is Rauru, does a really good job. And I am desperately looking for Kohga's voice actor, and just cannot find it here. Al, you might have to cover for me while I look.
I wonder if I'm pretty sure it's been the same voice actor the whole time through Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity, Tears of the Kingdom. So, I mean, I'm super glad that this guy has been chosen to do the voice because I think he does a really good job about playing like this maniacal goofball. So... I mean, once we get his name.
Stall longer.
What are you looking up? Like Age of Calamity cast?
I'm looking for Master Kohga particularly. I'm sorry to Master Kohga's voice actor. I should have came prepared, but I thought that he did a really
Eric Bra.
Eric Bra. Okay, Eric Bra. How did you find that so fast? How did I struggle for so long?
I said Age of Calamity cast, Master Kohga. AI overview, Eric Bra.
Well, that's another reason why AI is taking over the world, I guess.
Yeah, very true. Maybe
I thought he was great.
Yes, Eric Bra. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
And sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. It's Braa. I don't know if that takes any special pronunciation, but...
So I do want to talk a little bit, I think, about my feelings for Tears of the Kingdom. I'm going to play some more Tears, actually. Probably until Donkey Kong comes out. By the way, did you watch the Donkey Kong Direct?
I didn't. I want to be blind.
Okay. Okay. Did you know like anything that was announced during it?
Nope. I have no idea. I mean, you can say some stuff, but
Okay.
I'm trying to like go into it blind. I know that you guys were talking about it in the break room, and you were like, "Wow, Donkey Kong, yeah, it looks great." And I was like, "But," because I knew that you were going to talk
Yeah.
about how he looks.
I think the game does look really fun. It looks really. I'm gonna get it day one. I don't want there to be any misconceptions, but I hate the way that Donkey Kong looks. I hate it. I hate it. But that being said, I think that game looks really really fun, and I'm kind of at the point like even like last week I was like, okay, I'm done with Mario Kart. Like that game to me isn't like the big thing, you know? And so I'm like, I really need a single player game to kind of hold me over. And I might just play Tears until Donkey Kong comes out. So like, I'm thinking to myself, like, am I too harsh on this game? Have my thoughts changed? And I think the answer is like maybe a little bit, but also maybe not that much either. Like, I do think that Tears, I don't know. Like I can't get it out of my head that like the game wasn't what I wanted, and it took forever to come out, and I was disappointed. And I think like if it had come out really quickly, and it was what it was, I could be more accepting. And if it had come out and it had taken 6 years, but it was something completely original and different, I think that also would have been fine. Um, but I don't know. I still do feel a little bit disappointed in what the finished product was. I think Nintendo's solution was like more is better, and I don't know that that's necessarily the truth. But that being said, like I was playing yesterday and I was like, man, these Sky Islands are great. The Depths is fun, like when you kind of have a like I think that this interactive map helps a lot with the depths, because like a lot of times it seems like you're just kind of like randomly running into things that in areas that look a lot alike. There is a few areas of the depths which stick out, and there are some things in the depths that are interesting, but it's not like the surface where like you can like there's a lot of space in between interesting things, but the actual just like surface area is beautiful, and you know what I mean, like where the depths is just kind of like the depths. It is what it is, and it's hard to traverse. So I kind of was just like having a lot more fun with a little bit more guided navigation, and just kind of like picking apart some extra stuff, and then I was like kind of venturing off, and actually like you said, I was doing some wells, I was doing some caves, and I was like, why not? Like I'm close to this this cherry blossom tree, I might as well just go over there. And oh, the entrance to the cave is like right here. I might as well just do it. So it was getting its hooks on me that way. So I will say, I don't know. It's not like I don't like Tears of the Kingdom. Like I really do. It's a really fun game. I do. To me though, I don't know how it gets rid of that disappointing feeling to me, and I hope it does. But right now, it still is kind of that a little bit.
I'm excited to hear you say that there are some things to do down in the depths, and that there's some exciting differences, things that look different, things that it just doesn't seem all bleak and all the same. Because I was like telling you that, but I guess I just didn't understand that that's not what you were experiencing, and now you're able to experience that. So I'm excited to hear that.
Well, here's what I would say. Like for the most, it's not like I fact check me if I'm wrong, but I don't dislike the idea of the depths, and I don't like. It's just like visually, most of it looks the same, which is boring, and like so a lot of the time in the depths, you're kind of like beelining it from light route to light route. Like there is stuff there, but finding it, like that's the problem, right? Like you really have to know where to go in order to find this interesting stuff in the depths. It's kind of like it's not quite like a needle in a haystack, but I don't know what the next level up from that is. Maybe like a quarter
Oh my
in a
gosh.
haystack.
Thank God there's no Korok seeds down there. That would have
Dude,
been a nightmare.
yeah, like yeah.
Yeah. I will say for me, I've played this game once a year since it came out, which isn't saying a lot because it came out in 2 years ago. So I'm looking forward to my annual playthrough. I think I might 100% it again with this app. I opened this game and I still was absolutely enamored with it. I love it. I love everything that's going on with it. I still have questions that I hate, but like it's fine. I'll get over it. You know, I love running around. I love all the outfits. I love fusing the weapons. I love how the enemies are just like they got horns out of their head and I was in my 100% file, so they were escalated very quickly. And I just loved auto building my hover bike and just riding around. And I was also heading to the cherry blossoms because I was like, is this a percentage on the map that I'm missing? So I was heading to one and I heard the dragon music and I look up and it's Zelda and I was like, oh, beeline it straight to Zelda. And I was like, hey girl, I miss you. Like, it's been a while, you know? So that was a lot of fun. And then I went to the cherry blossom. It is not a percentage. It just shows you on the map where they are. I don't know. I feel like the more time goes on, I think I said this last year too. I think the more time goes on, the more I love this game and I get over my grievances with it.
I'm not quite there, and I think like for a couple of reasons. Like I wasn't as enamored with the story as you were. I especially the end. I just like.
I still love the end. I don't care what you say.
it was so cheap to me. It was a great moment, but it felt cheap to me. And it was too like Breath of the Wild. That's the game where I can kind of overlook like some of the flaws where like in the story in the Breath of the Wild it's just like completely like it's not good. The premise, the general premise is good, but the narrative story is not good at all. But that's where I can overlook it and be like, wow, this is the first big 3D open world Zelda game. With Tears of the Kingdom, I'm just like, I feel like they should have known. Like, they feel like they should have learned. And to me, I don't know that they did. I will say, though, like, I think I've said this before. Like, Tears of the Kingdom is like a gameplay lover's game, right? Like, if gameplay is like your end-all, be-all in your enjoyment of video games, like, there's no way that you can't not love Tears of the Kingdom. Because, like, the stuff that you can do in this game is so fun. The abilities, I think, are great. The world, like, going from the sky to the depths, it is really phenomenal. So, like, I don't want to be, like, I hate Tears of the Kingdom. I don't, like, at all. I really like it, actually. But there's so many things, and maybe like I just need to come to grips with like the game as what it is instead of what I was hoping that it would be. But I feel like the game, like it should have been something different with all of the time in between Breath of the Wild, with all of the lessons that it maybe could and should have learned, and I felt didn't. So we'll see. I'm gonna keep on playing it, and I'm gonna keep on like doing the caves and the wells and stuff like that, and maybe in a month we have a different conversation. But I will say I was having like fun revisiting that world specifically.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that even if you still have some of that like lingering disappointment, I'm glad to hear that you were able to pick it up again and like have a good time with it, and that it wasn't like 5 years in between you playing this game from when it came out. So I'm glad to hear that. I wanted to make a comment that this stuff that we're getting with the Zelda notes and this like extra quote unquote content is very reminiscent to what Concerned Ape does with Stardew Valley. But the cool thing about him is he does it for free. So he'll come out with these ginormous, massive like updates, and he's done 6 at this point. Though I think only 3 of them have been like the really, maybe 3 or 4 of them have been like the really big additions of content and like story, character, etc. And like over the last 9 years, and clearly that's doing really well. It's sold over 30 million copies. But like, this is the excitement that I get when he puts out that content for free, and then you go back into the game and you experience like new stuff in the game. So I feel that right now with these other games, but like to be honest, it kind of sucks that the updates are, I mean, we got them for quote unquote free because of our NSO, but like it kind of sucks a little bit that they're an extra $15-20. So like I feel like I was starting to understand why people were griping about that, because I look at other games where people do it for free.
You know what I would say to that though is like, people said this exact argument. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Hollow Knight. It's a really good Metroidvania game, and it's sold for like, I don't know, $30 or something like that. And when Metroid Dread came out, people were like, how could they sell this game at full price when Hollow Knight was only $30? And the thing about that is like, Hollow Knight should have been more expensive. Like, and my point there is like, I can see why you're saying that, but at the same time, like, maybe these updates should be like $10 each if you want them. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily either. I mean, ideally, like yeah, everything is free. Especially if games are going to be costing like $100. There, you know what? I saw sidetrack. I saw the frickin' Kirby game. Okay, the Kirby Switch 2 game. You know how much this monstrosity was? $115.
Where?
GameStop.
Why?
Welcome to Canada.
Oh, Canada. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$115 for Kirby on the
I think
Switch.
that's $80 here. So even still,
It's not $80 there. It's
what is it? Okay,
it'd be about $100. Anyways, like the point I'm making is like ideally everything should be free, but like there's also people that work hard and give away content for not the value of that content. So, I wanted to
87.
There you go. I wanted to transition here, Al, if you're ready, into our final little topic for today, which I was reading an article on ZeldaDungeon.net, which kind of caught my eye, and it was a big staff kind of feature here where everybody kind of contributed a couple of choices here, and it was called Switch Has Games. I love that title.
Yeah, great title.
Where each editor was tasked with picking out one game and one runner-up game that defined the Nintendo Switch to them. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to task you, because I've already picked my two. I'm going to task you with picking one game that defined Nintendo Switch and one game as your runner-up here. And I'll read off a couple of the games that are on this list to kind of give you an idea of what some people said here. I'm not going to read everyone, but...
I mean, I worry that if you read them off, that they'll say mine. So,
they might, and that's okay.
I have two games in mind because I'm trying to think like Switch overall, not defined the series. So I'm not going to pick Pokemon games because I feel like there's some defining Pokemon games, but they're defining for the series, not the Switch, in my mind. So I have two in mind that are defining for the Switch.
All right. Well, let's take a quick look here at some of the other entries here, and there will definitely be some picks that we have here. So number one from Kat, shout out to Kat Vadam. She picked Breath of the Wild, and her runner-up was Stardew Valley. So I mean that could literally be yours, maybe.
No.
Let's see here. Julia picked Breath of the Wild, the expansion pass, actually in particular, and then Pokemon Legends as her runner-up. This is an interesting one. John picked Night in the Woods, which is a game I've had on my wish list for like 4 years and just never pulled the trigger on it. Runner-up Splatoon 3. Let's keep going here. Alex Weber, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was her game that defined the Switch, and the runner-up was Animal Crossing. Brandon, Fire Emblem Three Houses, runner-up Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. How about this one? Evan picked Ring Fit Adventure as the game that defined the Switch. A great pick. With Luigi's Mansion 3 as a runner-up. Cora picked Animal Crossing New Horizons, runner-up Breath of the Wild. Heather picked Skyward Sword HD.
Wow.
This is a line that I am confused with. I had to come to terms that I would never enjoy Skyward Sword the way it was intended because I wasn't a fan of the Wii's motion controls. It had become a Zelda game that I would never get to play. So you didn't even try it? What?
A lot
it's
of
crazy.
People feel that way. I mean, the very first time I played Skyward Sword, I could not like function with the controls. But then a couple years later, I tried again, and I tried a little harder, and I was able to. But like, I can understand the feeling.
That's wild. Sean picked Metroid Dread. How about that? And
Nice.
runner-up, The Witcher 3. So Jared picked Kirby. So, and the list goes on. There's like a really great kind of like explanation for a lot of these different picks, and there's a lot of diversity too. There's not as much Breath of the Wild or Zelda as you might expect on this list. So I would definitely encourage everybody to go and check it out. Al, why don't we do this? Let's go with our runner-up, and then we'll do our game that defined the Switch. I'm interested to hear your runner-up for a game that defined the Nintendo Switch to you.
I think a game that defined the Nintendo Switch to me as a runner-up would be Animal Crossing New Horizon.
Okay.
New Horizons with an S. I think that it came out, almost a few years after the Switch was released. It came out at a very opportune moment. I think it gave a lot of people connection that they were missing at that time, and it sold like astronomically well. It probably helped with Switch sales itself, like the console itself. And I just remember seeing content for months and months and months about Animal Crossing, and it's almost a shame that they didn't continue with content. Like I was talking about with Stardew, is just like there's so many things that you can continue doing with something like Animal Crossing. It's just like they gave up after 2 years, which is such a shame because they had so much momentum. So I just feel like aside from that little flaw, it defined the Switch for me because like I don't know about anybody else, but I think I have like 700 to 900 hours in that game. It's like it's an insane, like it keeps you busy for hours and hours. There's
Hmm.
so much that you could do, so much that you can collect. It just felt like a defining moment in the Switch for me.
Yep. I think that's a great pick. It didn't for me, but I think for a lot of people, like it really did. Like that was kind of the way that you connected to everybody during COVID. Like that really
Hmm.
was the perfect game at the perfect time.
Hmm.
My runner up for the game that defined Nintendo Switch, and I'm going to say like a game that defined Nintendo Switch doesn't mean that it has to be the best game on the system or anything like that. It can define it for
Right.
better or for worse. And so
Oh,
I think a game that for me defined the Nintendo Switch was Tears of the Kingdom, the runner up.
okay.
Simply because so much of the Switch's life was all about when is Tears of the Kingdom coming? What is the next update on Tears of the Kingdom? Where is Breath of the Wild 2? Like all of these questions, and it's probably unique to us because we do the podcast and we covered that game in the release cycle. But
Hmm.
for me, yeah, it was just like Tears of the Kingdom was so much of like what we did and what we covered on this show and like on the podcast during the last couple of years. It's hard not to pick that as the game that defined Nintendo Switch. So I would say, yeah, I would say Tears of the Kingdom is kind of the pick that I had in mind when I saw that.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder if our number one is the same though.
I think it has to be.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Go for it.
How can you not say Breath of the Wild?
Yep.
Like, we've said it so many times. Breath of the Wild is like such an important milestone in the timeline of Nintendo. This is where the downfall timeline and like the success timeline split, okay? Because if Breath of the Wild comes out and it sucks, I think that the Switch bombs. Not maybe not bombs, but it certainly isn't as good as it is. It doesn't sell as much as it does. Um, I think people's faith in Nintendo is not built back up, even with that really great showcase where they showed off Odyssey and they showed off Splatoon and they showed off this and that. I think so much was riding on the success of Breath of the Wild to save Nintendo's ass as a console maker that
Hmm.
you really can't overlook the significance and importance of this game. And like I feel like it defined the Switch because it completely set the tone for we're gonna have one the best quality releases of our first party IP, and number two, almost all of our first party is gonna set new benchmarks in terms of like sales and success on the Nintendo Switch. And number three, I think that Breath of the Wild was an anomaly because it kept on gaining traction and it kept on selling as the Switch, you know, grew and as it got older. Like I feel like it never stopped being kind of like the game that people played. People like were doing speed runs and finding new stuff, and like I feel like every month or so you'd see someone like a news article. It's just like this person did this in Breath of the Wild, which nobody thought was possible, right? Like
Hmm.
it just it seems like it just coming back to Breath of the Wild. Like that was the game for the Nintendo Switch. If the Switch was a hockey team and it had a captain, Breath of the Wild was the captain.
I mean I agree with everything that you said. I think that Breath of the Wild was ready for the Wii U. Um earlier than when it was released, and they were like, no, we have to have this on the Switch, we have to have this as a launch on the Switch. So that's one of the like last delays that they did. I'm pretty sure that's like they just had to be like, hey, the Switch is coming out, we need to adapt this to the Switch and delay it again, which was like heartbreaking in the moment.
Yeah.
But like obviously so worth it. I purchased Breath of the Wild on both consoles, and it's just miles and away better on the Switch than it is on the Wii U. I think I barely touched the Wii U because of how it was just not as enjoyable. Not, it was kind of clunky, and it was just so much better on the Switch. And then on top of that, you have your Switch presentation in January 2017, and you have that phenomenal Breath of the Wild trailer. People have been waiting for this game since 2014, maybe a little sooner. Like, and it just like escalated the hype for me. I remember being we talked about this with the Switch too, where I was like, I'm excited, but I'm not as hyped as I was for the Switch. I was hyped for the Switch because it was a new console and because of the launch title of Breath of the Wild. So not like that's just a defining moment right there. And then you have this amazing, incredible open world Zelda game that has like innovated a lot and inspired a lot of open world games that came on the Switch afterwards. Like you see trailers of other open world games for Nintendo, and they mimic what Breath of the Wild did in their trailer. And it's like, I don't know, it's like it doesn't just define the Switch, but it defines like a lot of stuff that happens in video games after that moment, just like Ocarina of Time did back in 1998.
Yeah, totally. I feel like I always say like Ocarina of Time is one of the most important video games ever released. I think Breath of the Wild is in that conversation. Like I really do, and I'm not just saying that as a guy with a Zelda podcast. Like, and you know, probably sounds that way because I picked two Zelda games that define Nintendo Switch. But like, I really think that these two games like really earned that pick. And like Breath of the Wild is just such a like a generational title. You know, like you really only see one of a game like this per generation, and maybe that's why I'm so hard on Tears of the Kingdom, right? Because it's hard not to compare it to the success that Breath of the Wild brought. But yeah, those two games to me were the ones that stuck out. I think Animal Crossing is a good pick. If I had a second runner-up, actually, it would be NSO. Like Super Nintendo NSO, Game Boy NSO. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I played more NSO than almost any title on... I think I think it is the most played. My Super Nintendo NSO is number 1, and then Game Boy is number 2.
What is NSO showing up as most played because of you or Sam?
So Super Nintendo is because of me. Game Boy is definitely because of Sam. Definitely.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. If I had a second one, I would probably. This is probably where I would venture into Pokemon. I would say Arceus probably, because I feel like Arceus set a standard for Pokemon going forward on how to like maneuver in the world, hunt your Pokemon, etc. Like Sword and Shield started there. They like kind of dipped their toes in, but Arceus was like when they jumped in, you know? And so I feel like now Pokemon games are going to be a lot like that hunting style, more freedom. You don't have to battle every single person. You don't have to battle every single thing, you know? So...
You can even argue like that started in Sword and Shield too.
That's what I mean. Like they dipped their toe in it, but I feel like Arceus was like gung ho. They jumped in.
I saw Sean pick Metroid Dread, and maybe it surprises some people that I didn't pick that. But kind of like you were saying with Pokemon, like I mean, Metroid Dread is incredible. It's amazing, and it was a defining moment for the Metroid series. And I'd probably say that's like my fourth pick, but I don't know on the Switch in general if it defined it. Like I think like on the GameCube, like Metroid Prime was like that game that might have defined the console because of the sheer quality of that title. Metroid Dread is incredible too, but I don't know that I would say Metroid Dread. I don't know what I would pick beyond that. It probably would be Metroid Dread beyond that, but that's probably more my personal like what defined it.
Yeah,
to me.
I feel like there's clearly games that I've loved on the Switch, and we had that episode where we talked about like our most played stuff. I loved Three Houses, but I don't know if I would pick that as a defining. To me, that was a defining moment that I realized that I like Fire Emblem. That was my first Fire Emblem game. So, I mean, but I don't know if I would pick it as a defining moment for the Switch.
Yeah. I'm still plugging my way through Fire Emblem Engage. That game is is not on the level of some other Fire Emblems, is my initial impression, I will say. But yeah, no, I think that's fair. Fire Emblem Three Houses is, I mean, we actually did a show on Omega where we were doing the top 10 Switch games as well. So my list was pretty similar to what it was, and Fire Emblem Three Houses was still number 3. Go figure. So, all right, there it is. Anything else you want to chat about here before we get out of here, Al?
No, I think we had a good chat today.
What am I going to do without you next week?
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be here next week, so you're going to have to figure it out.
I don't even know what we're going to talk about.
My sister, she's going to have a baby in 2 months, so we're throwing her a baby shower, and then there's going to be a lot of cleanup and stuff after, so that's what I'm doing next weekend.
Well, I will be here next weekend. Same.
Andy's not invited to the baby shower.
Same Zelda time, same Zelda channel. Yes. All right. Well, if that is it, I hope that the baby shower goes well for you, Al. I hope that it's. I'm sure you'll be happy when it's going on, but even happier when it's over.
I'll be happy when it's over. My goal is to make my sister cry. Happy tears.
Oh, okay.
I want her to cry.
Oh, okay. So say it's like just bully Al over at the baby shower. Like, jeez.
No, I just want her to walk in and just be like feel loved and appreciated and celebrated. So that's how I want her to cry.
All right. Well, there you go. We hope that everyone listening to this show feels loved and celebrated and appreciated. And if so, consider heading over to patreon.com/spnet. As we were mentioning, Middle Earth, the podcast, is finally dropped, and there's a ton of other Zelda stuff there as well. And to be honest, a ton of other stuff that's not Zelda. So if that is your thing, you can explore around patreon.com/spnet. $1 gets you in the door. So consider checking us out. And of course, go and like and subscribe and recommend and rate and review, all that kind of good stuff wherever you get your podcasts. If you got a Zelda fan in your life, tell them where they can get their weekly Zelda fix. And come join our Discord. Come talk with Al and I. We're active in the Zelda Dungeon Discord, so come on in and drop by. And if you're a Spotify commenter, come and join us for a little Discord action or a little Twitch action, whatever you want. We love to chat with people that listen to the show, and we love to talk with them. So consider doing that. And of course, give us a follow over on Blue Sky at Spateri316, at Allison Aletha, at the Zelda Cast. That, my friends, is going to do it for us. So until next week, everybody, take care.
Bye.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.